Hey there, Hasan. So you've written us more essays. Great work. Let's take a look and see what you did today. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world would have debated whether utilizing wind, solar power, biomass energy sources is far better than traditional sources. I strongly advocate the adoption for green sources due to its environmentally and economically benefits. This essay will discuss both sides using examples from the UK and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay. So, let's say, I'm assuming which essay this is. This is the one where it's green energy, and if it's better economically and safer for the environment, or if it's a threat to energy consumption. So, if that's the case, I'm not really a huge fan of this comparison here because we're not actually comparing it to traditional sources of energy. Instead, what we're doing is we're discussing whether it is more harmful or if it's more beneficial. Okay, so it might seem like a detail, but it's actually important to remember the perspective that you're supposed to keep on this essay. Okay, now apart from that, there's some grammatical errors that I want to discuss. The first one is this: you don't need this would here. It doesn't help you at all. It just confuses the meaning. So let's look at it again for vocabulary and grammar. Experts throughout the developing and developed world have debated whether utilizing wind, solar, and biomass energy sources is far better than traditional sources. And again, I told you what's wrong with this. I strongly advocate the adoption of green sources due to their environmental and economic benefits. This essay will discuss both sides using examples from the UK and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, let's move on. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that supports the idea of positive impacts of using renewable energy sources. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, these sources are not only eco-friendly, but also economically better than fossil fuel sources. Okay, why? Okay, remember, after you give a main idea, you should support it right there and say why. Why is it helpful? Why is it good? Secondly, these sources do not become depleted, I think is the best way to say this, since they not could, but they can be naturally replenished. For example, the recent empirical study by the UK government demonstrated that renewable sources of energy have alleviated the detrimental effect of pollution by 70% in the targeted areas. Okay, I'm confused about this. Why is this here? Look at what your main idea just was. It was that they could naturally be replenished, but what you've said here has nothing to do with that. So the placement of this sentence is incorrect, and it doesn't support the main idea that it just comes after. So this probably goes someplace else. All right, let's take a look at this. It must not be forgotten that since the inception of using renewable energy as an alternative source of energy, many stable jobs have been added to the world economy, not get rid of the most. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that fully exploiting renewable energy sources has significant implications on the improvements of the environment as well as economy situations. Okay, there's a couple of little problems with this sentence here. Let's see. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that fully exploiting renewable energy sources has, okay, because it's exploiting. This whole thing is your subject, so it should be has significant implications on the improvements of the environment as well as, I would have just said the economy or economic situations, but I think the economy is the best way to phrase this, okay? All right, let's move on. On the other hand, there are some risks which may be involved here when using renewable energy sources. Your full stop goes right after the word and not in front of the next word that begins, okay? Please be aware of that and be careful. In fact, you're supposed to leave 2 spaces between the full stop and the next sentence. This is largely because, no comma please, even if we fully depend on renewable sources, there could be dire consequences in case of bad, cloudy, or rainy weather. For instance, an extensive study by Oxford University stated that over 90% of renewable energy sources are immensely affected by, that should be an A here, not an E, by dreadful climate conditions. As a result, the energy supplies will be in jeopardy. Okay, I know that you probably are using this as an advanced vocabulary word, and it's nice, although I don't think it's the most accurate word here. Dreadful climate conditions. I think you just mean like unfavorable is really the right word here, meaning that it's not a weather condition or a climate condition that favors this particular type of energy creation or something. Okay, so let's move on. This should be will be in jeopardy. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that although utilizing renewable energy sources may include some downsides and endanger energy stability, they may still be considered as viable options. Wait a minute, look, as a viable options. So decide if you want it a viable option or as viable options for energy generation. Okay, I'm a little confused here about this last sentence. You basically said that there are some downsides and it may endanger energy stability, but this I don't really understand. I mean, here you're talking about how problematic it is and how we can't really depend on it. So, it feels like the focus of this sentence is wrong. I wouldn't have written this and I would have rephrased it. You're talking clearly about the negatives here, so I don't know why you're talking about energy, renewable energy being a viable option. This really shouldn't belong here. Okay, so to recapitulate from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that although there are some menaces for energy supply, well, I wouldn't have said it like this, some menaces to the energy supply when using renewable energy sources, the merits of using it vastly outnumber the demerits owing to ecological and economical advantages. Okay. Fine. However, there's a problem now, Hasan, with the order of your paragraphs. Here you're talking about the positives, here you're talking about the negatives, and you've told me that you support the positives, right? That's what you just said here. Well, that means that this paragraph goes closer to your conclusion. We always talk about the side that we support last. We put it closer to a conclusion, so it's better tied into it, okay? Okay, so that's the end of this task 2, sorry. So some nice vocabulary. I can see that you're trying to add some advanced vocabulary, so good job. You did answer the question, so in terms of task achievement, it's fine. That little problem here with this, with the order of your paragraphs. Also, I really want you to be a little more careful with your punctuation. Remember, the punctuation, whether it's a comma or a full stop, it goes directly after the word, and then you leave 1 space for a comma and 2 spaces for a full stop, okay? All right, so let's take a look now at your other task. Okay, here it is. Dear Mr. Peter, I am writing to complain about the inconvenience. You don't need which here. You either need inconvenience caused or about the inconvenience which is caused by your dog's barking during the whole day. Actually is not accurate here. Okay, so let's get rid of it. And also let's get rid of this me. We don't write like that in English, at least not in formal English. So it should be my family and I. So let's change this entire beginning around and let's just say my family and I are extremely displeased with this noise, which is ever increasing. Full stop. Because ever increasing implies that it's every day, doesn't it? Specifically, not especially, my sons have exams which are going on nowadays. So they cannot study well. It's not theoretical. It's not in the past. It's now. So they cannot study very well. Full stop here. Again, get rid of this and then begin. Furthermore, my wife is ill and she was advised by the physician to unwind at home for a couple of weeks. But with this kind of noise, she feels immensely irritated. It's something happening now. So no past. Consequently, this annoyance has become a major concern for my family. Therefore, I would kindly request if you could move this dog to the common area in the backyard, so at least we can alleviate this noise as much as we can, and additionally, we will keep the corridor not only neat, but also clean from the dog's waste. Honestly speaking, comma here, I was bewildered to write to you about this, but this has become a constant source of irritation for the entire family, which could not be afforded anymore. Okay, bewildered is the wrong word here. I felt awkward. I felt uncomfortable. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here, but bewildered is definitely not the right word. I hesitated to write to you. You could say that. So honestly speaking, I hesitated to write to you about this, but it has become a constant source of irritation. That makes sense, okay? Thank you in advance for your cooperation and understanding. Yours sincerely, Hasan. Okay, it's fine. There was obviously some grammatical problems and some vocabulary problems, but nothing too serious. You extended it. Remember what I told you about your punctuation. Please be careful with it because it will definitely affect your grammatical range and accuracy score. So nice job on the whole. Keep writing, please. Keep sending us essays. Correct these. Add to your error correction list. And we'll be looking forward to your next set of essays. Okay, Hasan, thanks very much.